everybody, it's Chris Widener and Chris Stegg. You are listening to the Big Mo Real Estate Podcast. You can find us at bigmoradio.com. We want to help you get motivated. We want to help you make more money. We want to help you do all the kinds of things that you're going to do to build your business. We want to build momentum in your business. And today, you've probably already noticed that we sort of switch off, right? Sometimes I'm interviewing Chris. Sometimes Chris is interviewing this Chris. But we're excited to be able to be here with you today. And today, I want to talk to Chris about creating a values-based real estate business and being able to set boundaries around those values so that you're only operating in those values as opposed to getting pulled off this direction, and all those kinds of things as well. So Chris, thanks for joining us today.
Hey man, I'm so thrilled to be here. Chris, good to see you, friend. And yeah. I'm looking forward to having a little back and forth with you. And certainly this is something that is special and obviously important to, our business. So yeah.
Now, Chris is a working real estate agent in Austin, Texas. And then my wife and I have a real estate business here in Scottsdale. She's the realtor and I do business development and those kinds of things. And so it's exciting to be able to share some of these ideas with the folks that are listening to us. And by the way, you can always find us at bigmoradio.com. If you want to work with us or find out more about us, you can jump on over and do that. Sign up for our email newsletter, all the kinds of things that we have offered there. So Chris, I want to just run through, 4 or 5 questions here to sort of dive into this. First of all, let's just start with, what are the few core values that have been at the forefront of your business? We talk about the values. The values are the things that we believe in, that we hold to be true, that we try to base our lives or, our lives, our religion, our businesses, whatever on. What are a few of those core values? And then let's talk through each one of them. What are some of those core values?
That's a really good question. And, for the gosh, as early as I can remember, love is a value that I hold near and dear to my heart. It's, love is something that probably is the driver, of my business. When you love what you do, when you love who you are, when you love what you represent, when you love people, well, I tell you, it makes business just flow in a way that it just come natural. If you're a loving person. And so love is I really at the forefront,
Let me ask you a question, because I know there's probably some people sitting there going, well, what do you mean touchy-feely, like, ooh, let's love each other? That's not what you're talking about though, right? What are you talking about what does it mean to love people and to love the business? What does that mean? Because people they say to their spouse, I love you till the end of time. And then they say, I love chocolate cake. So
right. It's a passion. It's a passion. It's something that you get up each morning and there is just something in your heart, in your mind. There is something that is unwavering in it, and it's centered around people. It's centered around people. And so, I love my family. We're going to talk through some boundaries. We're going to talk through, who gets, where's priority, in your life. And so when you love well, it's a passion. It's a passionate thing that, allows you to be highly successful. Love is one of those where, when you love well, people can see it, they can feel it, they can hear it in your conversation, and it's been the driver in how I've connected and built relationships with people.
Yeah. So, what other values other than love? What are your?
Another one that comes to mind is I've got a couple that really stand out in the forefront, but a couple that come to mind are a service to others, serving others. And, there's something, in our business, in our real estate business, when the focus is clearly on the other purpose, the other person, there's something special. There's something there that allows us to not only love well, but to serve and to value others and their needs first.
And
And so that's
isn't sales really
just
service?
serving,
Like
just serving
most
others.
people think of sales as persuasion. I've always viewed sales as service. It's not about getting somebody to do something they don't want to do. To me, it's about giving people what it is that they want. It makes it just so much simpler.
Yeah, yes, you're exactly right. There's a couple really, great companies that are, that do this well, and you can't help but know that is when it's communicated well throughout the organization, when it's communicated to your family, when it's lived out, you become noticeable. And one of the things that we do here on this podcast is we help people create and make more money, and serving others in this business. The exact opposite is serving yourself and your needs above others, and that couldn't be more of an opposite way of how we should work, and how that should be something that we give of ourselves. When you're caring for others, your interests are on the side, and of course when you do that with your family, it's a mighty good thing as well. Yeah.
What does it mean? What does it mean to serve in real estate on a daily basis? I mean, we've got the sort of 30,000 foot, we should all love, we should all serve. But when you come to the day-to-day basis, how do you serve other people? What does it mean?
It's serving is really being a knower, having knowledge of your specific target market. Is to know the people that you're serving. What are some of the new developments? What are some of the up and coming street extensions or expansions, or what are some of the new restaurants, the schools? How are you getting to know the area in which you're specifically serving? So it's becoming knowledgeable. It's knowing what is in that specific area, and it's communicating that to your people, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's interesting. I've never thought about that way. It's knower, right? Because in real estate, we're consultants. We're consulting with people to help them get what it is that they want. Reminds me of Zig Ziglar's old quote: "You can have anything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want out of life."
right.
And knowing where those things are, and then serving. Like we were out all weekend with a couple, or earlier this week with a couple, looking for a well into the 7 figures vacation home, pushing up against the 3 million mark. And here in Scottsdale, you have a wide variety of homes. You have some sort of comfortable, they're more comfortable, darker tones, things like that, really more of that style. And then you have bright and shiny glass, and then you have, just, and everything in between. And it's interesting because as we're showing these houses, they wanted to take a sort of a spectrum of look. And it was funny because the ones that Denise and I like were the more comfortable, earth tones, feel warm, big warm fireplace, but they love the modern. So you as soon as you get that, you wouldn't go, "Oh, no, you should get this, because that's what we like." Instead, you say, "Oh, this is what these folks want," and you serve it to them. And I've never understood how people don't get the fact that you make more money when you serve other people. You consider their interests more important than your interests. And we honed right in on one house, and bam, there you go, and served it up. They loved it, and are going to make an offer on it. So
those that listen well and serve. I mean, as you're probably aware, Chris, I mean, here in Austin, it's so diverse in homes that are I mean, all over the map. You've got concrete homes, you've got stucco and brick and stone. I mean, Austin stone, limestone. You've got these all glass. You got the Adobe. You got it's all over the place. It's so diverse, like our city, and some of those things are just not, like you're saying, you and Denise. They're just not. That's not your thing.
Yeah.
But when you listen,
my thing. I'm not dropping 3 million on the house.
All right.
If I was
Yeah,
dropping the money, it would be my thing, but I'm not.
right.
It's their thing.
Right. So and when you listen well, when you serve others, when you find out, their needs, and you find a specific one that's just going to blow their mind. I mean, that's truly serving others. And so
Yeah.
um
Give me
yeah.
one more. What's one more
Yeah.
value that you hang your hat on every day?
Persistence or
Mm.
grit. That is something that, I was taught at an early age, and from my dad. And it's just having, there's a great book that I read years ago. There's three words, and it says persist without exception. And
I
it,
like
and
that.
it's just something that drives, having the courage to, having the boldness to go out and make something happen today. um, and um, and so that grit, obviously, that persistence, comes through in a way that, it's genuine, but it's clearly defined. It's a high level of focus,
Mm.
and so that's probably those
The
are
third
three
thing.
key
Yeah.
values that come to mind.
Well,
Yeah.
we talked about earlier how you can be driven off track, right?
Mhm.
How do you set boundaries? I think boundaries, people think of boundaries as sort of a negative, but when I'm driving down the freeway and I've got guardrails, those are boundaries. They tell me when I'm golfing, you're a golfer, there's boundaries. You want to stay in bounds, not out of bounds, right? So
Yeah.
boundaries are a positive thing because they keep you on track. So why are well-defined boundaries important in building your real estate business?
I think they are one of, like, the highest importance. I mean, we serve others. We have, many of us here listening today and listening at another time have families, and boundaries are good. Boundaries are in a chaotic world that we live in, with so much of distraction and things that are coming our way. Just to be able to maintain a level of focus, a high level of focus is something that's important, not only in our lives but in our business. And so, it what it does, Chris, that comes to mind is it gives you who to the knowledge of who to work with and who not to work with.
Mm.
Where to serve, where not to serve. In my first year of business, I'll never forget it. I was just excited, as many people are, just to get out and go make something happen. And if you look at my first year of business, which many are like this, it was just all over the map. Meaning I was serving in south, way 30, 40, 50 miles south of Austin. It could be north, northwest, west, far east, central, urban parts of Austin. And what was happening is a year, 2 years later, there were people that I'd met in those specific areas who saying, "Hey, can you come help me?" Well, that's not really serving them well, because I don't live in those areas. I don't know the up and coming developments. And so it's really, boundaries are good because it gives you a level of focus where, your target market.
Oh, yeah, people
And
people call me up and they're like, "Hey, we want you to come and give a speech, blah blah blah. It's going to be on customer service." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"I don't do customer service." And I mean, I could probably come up with a good customer service speech if I had a little bit of time, tell some funny
Yeah,
stories, tell some sad stories, tell some bad customer service stories. I could make it entertaining, but it
yeah.
wouldn't be good for me, wouldn't be good for the person who hires me, wouldn't be good for their crowd. So I always recommend that they go with an expert, somebody that could really help them in that particular area. And so boundaries, they keep who's supposed to be out, they keep who's supposed to be in. And I
Mhm.
think that it's a positive thing. Boundaries are a very positive thing. But what about boundaries being crossed? Sometimes boundaries get crossed, and how do you deal with that? Give us maybe some examples of that and how you deal with that.
Mhm. Yeah, boundaries are also something that I think we want to add to that. They need to be clearly defined and communicated well to your spouse, to your partner, to your family. And there are times, that boundaries do get crossed. But I would say prior to that, you have some accountability. You have some people that are in your life that know your boundaries. And we live in an industry, we work in an industry in the real estate space where you could work all times a day and night. And you remember the day, Chris, when the phone that was attached to the wall was ringing at dinner time when you're sitting there with your family, and you just let it ring. You just let it ring because it was okay.
Most people don't ever do that. Most people have no boundaries with their phones.
No boundaries at all.
They have no boundaries. They're in the middle of a lunch with somebody they love, and next thing you know, the phone rings, and they decide. Like, to me, they even check their phone is bothersome to me, because really this is a pet peeve of mine. So when I'm sitting there and my phone's upside down, if it were to ring and I'm with somebody who I'm trying to let them know that they're important to me, and I feel my phone vibrating and I have to check it, what I'm really saying is, hey, you're sort of important, but somebody more important may be calling me. So I got to check this and see if I'm going to talk to the person who's more important than you. And so to me, it's really a pet peeve in regard to that. But
yeah, that's right. I mean, it happens all the time. And when it goes back to boundaries and how, and the values that you hold near and dear to your heart, there are times when, you may be working a specific deal and it's been communicated, and it's you got the nod from your spouse or from those that you're holding you accountable, that those things can be worked through. You just jump back into those four walls, and you'll find that it's so much more pleasurable. But I have found that after about 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the evening, that's when we do dinner, and that's family time. My first priority is my family. And the first thing in the morning when I get up, there are some non-negotiables. I don't open my laptop until I have a quiet time. I have some time by myself. I get out and get some exercise. Those are some things that are the most important. And I would encourage those that are listening that maybe kind of step over boundaries, or maybe don't have any boundaries, that you do set some firm boundaries, and don't go crazy, things that are so difficult, but try one or two things, communicate that, ask some great questions to your partner, and just try it. And you'll find that, boy, it's something that more people need to do. More people need to understand the value of boundaries. You look at some of these incredible companies that we can name off a few fingers that have mastered boundaries and values and live by those. They're uber super duper successful. Why can't we as agents?
Well, you think about it, there's boundaries that you set, like at home, like when I'm with my family, I'm with my family, right? Those are some boundaries. Then we also have boundaries, in dealing with other agents. Maybe they're trying to get you to do something unethical, or, maybe they're trying to get you to bend the truth a little bit, or, maybe they're pushing you to, to come and be with them when you're supposed to be with your family. You're at your son's ball game, or your daughter's dance recital, or something like that. But we need to make sure that we don't cross those boundaries, and part of that is accountability. So talk to us a little bit about accountability. Who's your accountability? Just talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's the responsible thing to do. We're accountable to our families first and foremost. And so my accountability on all things business is first and foremost my wife. Denise is a part of your life and your business, and just overall your operations and development, and so those are communicated first to her and my wife, and so it gives us a clear focus on things that must be done today in this very moment, and things that can be delayed or maybe pushed to another day. When those are communicated well, you listen to your spouse well, then that's going to be a good, healthy thing for your marriage, for your kiddos as well. Second is I got a small group. I got a small group of agents that are, you know what, this is important too, that fit in alignment with some of the values that you share, that can listen well. You know, those are a few good people that know where I'm headed, know my vision, know you know, my values, and know when not to call me. I mean, that's a great thing. I mean, just when, you know, I'm not gonna answer my phone, or, you know, and so that's another good thing too. But you're accountable first to your family in this case, you know.
What about like brokers? You know, people have a broker, being accountable to their broker. What about some of those relationships inside of the real estate business? What kind of accountability plays a role there?
Yeah, that's obviously something that many have a relationship with their broker. There's things that are required by state, you know, law, that things do get in at a specific time, and there's parameters that are placed. And so brokers, in this case, in my case, it was agents that I'm a part of an agent owned. I have a share in a company, and so we are the driving force of this brokerage. But brokers certainly are in a space that you know, you can be. You definitely need to be accountable to brokers. I mean, that's
what's the alternative to not setting boundaries or to not being held accountable? What happens when that happens?
Yeah. You know, there's so much that can go wrong. I mean, really it can. I mean, it really is just, it's everywhere. It's just serving. It's at the beck and call of your clients. You're always in a position to be available, you know, or you know, there's nothing like, you don't want to be the agent that, you know, is always in a position to go, oh sure, I can be there in 10 minutes, you know, I can be, oh sure, I'll take it, you know. There's a greater respect for agents who, you know, say, I'm busy at that moment, I've got an appointment at that moment, at that time, I've got some time tomorrow or later this afternoon. Clients respect that. They hear that.
Well, because they have their own appointments, right?
They do.
You know, and here's what happens. You're supposed to be at your kid's t-ball game at 7, and they call you up at 5 and go, hey, can you meet me to go look at houses at 7? And most people go, yeah, sure. And they dump their kid, right? Yeah. But what you do is you say, oh, I already have another appointment right then. They don't need to know that your appointment is with your son for his t-ball game. Right. And what we're afraid that we'll lose the deal. Well, 99% of the people are going to go, oh, you already have an appointment. That makes sense. I'm calling at 5, 2 hours beforehand. So what does your day look like tomorrow? That's what's going to happen. They're going to say, what does your day look like tomorrow? So, you know, we get afraid of setting boundaries, but boundaries, I think you're right. People respect that you have boundaries.
They respect it.
And they'll bend a little bit as well.
Yeah, you know that, and I will tell you that there was some great advice that I was given years ago by someone that it's been invaluable, and they said something like this, you know, that you take out your calendar at the beginning of each year or before the year begins, and you put on your calendar your days off and your time with family, or, you know, or vacationing times, your days, and everything revolves around those things. And so many of us know seasons of life that we're in, and we know the vacations that we have set. And when you do that, I'll tell you what, people will respect that. And it's been very well communicated. It's on your calendar, you know, it's done. It's there are boundaries that you've placed, and everything else revolves around that. And so the agent that says, oh, you know, you guys work on Saturdays and Sundays and all times of the night, that's not necessarily true.
Doesn't have to be true. You work when you choose to work.
That's exactly right. And so those are some things, Chris, I think that are helpful, that have been helpful to myself and my family and my business, that have driven you know, my business well. And there, you know, there's something that you're always working on. You know, we tend to cross over the white lines or the yellow lines here and there, but having some good accountability and, will help you get right back on track.
Yeah. Well, you've been listening to Chris Stagg. I'm Chris Widener. It is the Big Mo podcast, Big Mo Real Estate Podcast. You can find us over at bigmoradio.com. And we're excited to be able to be here, help you get motivated. We're here to help you build momentum. We're here to help you make more money. And I just love the fact we were able to talk about love and persistence and service and all those kinds of things. I want to challenge our listeners to really just sit down and say, what are my core values? What is my business going to be based on? And really think that through, and then ask yourself, how does that work in a realistic way each and every day? So with that, I'm going to sign off, but thank you so much for joining us. Chris, thanks for all your words of wisdom. Yeah, take care. Find us on bigmoradio.com. Bye-bye.
Bye.